When I come and sit on this bench, it's a beautiful place of reflection.
At the Pentagon Memorial in Arlington, the 184 names etched into steel benches symbolize each of the lives taken on that dark day in 2001.
I miss his hugs. I miss so much about him.
When Basmati Bishendat lost her son Romeo, Donna Tepe and Laura Lachek their husbands Carl and Dave, Kathy Dillber, her sister Patty, in a defining moment of inhumanity.
20 years comes up and you go, oh my gosh, it can't be 20 years. And I found myself, I'm not a crier at all. And I found myself missing her so much. I missed her all along, but all of a sudden it just hit.
The water is very calming. You can hear the sound of the water.
We met 4 9/11 family members, now friends,
Marie is in her second year of graduate school.
at this place of remembrance to better understand their healing journeys. In the early years, the pendulum of grief and joy rarely swung in their favor.
9/11 happened and I was in shock. But the day they brought Romeo to the funeral home on October 15th was the day I wished the earth had opened up and swallowed me. That was my living nightmare.
They say since moving on from such a seismic trauma is unattainable, they have found ways to move forward.
When this memorial was first built, it was hard. It was really hard to look at the Pentagon because I would think about the end. But then over time, and what I think about now is I reflect upon the early days of meeting Dave, of dating Dave.
Lori and Dave Lachek met while working at the Pentagon right out of college. Their love leading to marriage and children, who lost their dad when they were 7 and 9 years old.
I asked for so many years why this had to happen to somebody who was so good and why these children had to suffer. And you don't get anywhere by asking that, but you eventually just surrender to, when it's my time, I'll have the answers. And that God is by my side crying tears along with me.
Lori finds meaning by working in grief counseling. Donna Tepe also lost the love of her life.
We started going steady in high school.
That was in 1960. Donna and Carl Tepe never looked back, building a beautiful life together. Years after his death, Donna found the strength to fall in love again.
I don't know, he and I just started chatting.
Donna and Ben Salamone met at a 9/11 support group for widows and widowers. Ben lost his wife in the terrorist attack. Talk led to a date, then another. Now they're engaged.
But of course, he still misses his wife in many ways. I still miss my husband in many ways.
I wonder, what would he look like? What he would have been today? How many kids would he have had? Where would he have lived?
Basmati Bishendat uses the power of her son's love to fuel her healing journey.
I always used to tell my children that the love that I have for them would shake the universe, and I still feel that way. And Romeo and I had a very special bond. As a mother, it's been a long 20 years, but I'm sitting here today with a lot of pride to keep his memory alive.
My name is Kathy Dillber. I'm a 9/11 family member and a building survivor. I'm sitting on my sister's bench, Patty Dillber Mickley. She was my baby sister.
Kathy Dillber's story is uniquely complicated. She and her sister Patty worked near each other in the Pentagon.
All of a sudden, I heard a loud sound, and debris came flying down the hallway, and I got knocked down.
As military personnel rushed Dillber out of the building, she desperately tried, but could not find her sister.
First of all, that night, we were at the house waiting for her to come home. And that's when I knew something happened, but I didn't know what, because I looked at the television and I saw the Pentagon was on fire.
Days later, she found out that 24 of her colleagues were killed, including Patty.
It's survivor's guilt. I eventually discovered that I would have switched places with her. She had a 5-year-old. I had her 41 years, my baby sister, 41 years. I have wonderful memories. That's what keeps me going.
Diliber believes that every one of these 184 souls were angels on earth, messengers sent here to love us, and now to watch over us.
I want you back home.
If you ask anyone scarred by 9/11, they'll tell you that the human heart cannot simply move on from the magnitude of such a tragedy. But in time, they figure out how to sit beside their grief while finding ways to move forward.
And I'm grateful for that because love is in my heart every day. Love doesn't die, it lives on with the memories.
I'm Jay Korff for 7 News. It's been a wondrous birthday for Ryan Lowry of Leesburg. Gifts to enjoy and a Zoom call with his dad who's traveling.
Are you having a big day or what?
Yes, I'm having a big day.
I am so proud of you, man. 20 years old. This is crazy.
Crazy doesn't begin to describe these last 2 weeks.
I'm a bright guy, but I also have... communication is hard for me.
But his handwritten words on paper have touched millions of people.
Dear future employer.
A couple weeks ago, Ryan, who has autism, penned a letter and posted it on LinkedIn.
I realize that someone like you will have to take a chance on me.
Like everyone else, Ryan has hopes and dreams, and he is gifted in math and memory.
And you can memorize anything. Want to recite pi?
3.14159265.
He wants to be an animator or work in IT.
Please let me know if you would like to talk about this with me. Thank you.
And there have been a lot of people who have wanted to talk to him.
The post has been viewed more than 6 million times.
It's raw, it's beautiful, and they all need a chance.
Thousands of people from scores of countries have reached out to the family to help Ryan. He even has calls in the coming weeks with Fortune 500 companies.
You broke the internet, dude.
Yes, I did. But that letter was viral.
Rob and Tracy Lowry say the goal when their son joined LinkedIn and wrote this letter was for a young man to just learn about business and responsibility.
Very proud of him.
In the end, we're learning what bravery looks like.
What every mom wants is for their children to grow up and have a life and support themselves and be independent.
Jay Korff, ABC 7 News. For any artist, the space where form and feeling take shape
Working on her fluffy, fluffy ears at the moment.
serves as a sanctuary of sorts from all the noise cluttering our lives.
And I can just not really worry about the rest of the world. When I'm at work, I have to worry a little bit more.
For Morgan Archer, a trained graphic artist, and Winston Pejan, an accomplished painter,
I'm using a cobalt blue for the sky, which is one of my favorites.
this protective cocoon, be it along a sun-soaked river or inside a cozy studio, provides the shelter necessary from 9-to-5 jobs that are hardly routine.
Some people are surprised to know that I'm also a police officer.
Pejan's calming watercolor landscapes and Archer's intimate, photorealistic colored pencil portraits stand in stark contrast to their work in law enforcement and the day that changed everything.
On January 6th, I was assigned to our civil disturbance unit in full riot gear.
Pull them this way! Pull forward!
When a barbaric surge pushed deep into our nation's seat of law and order, U.S. Capitol Police officers Winston Pejan and Morgan Archer stood their ground.
My squad was one of the first squads on the West Front, so as soon as those people took the stairs, they were faced with us. We were that line to stop them.
Someone hit Officer Archer with bear spray.
It almost incapacitated me. I couldn't breathe. I actually had one of my coworkers pull me up the steps because I almost passed out from not being able to breathe through it.
They hit Officer Pejan with even more.
Tried to be stabbed with flagpoles. I was punched in the face and beaten, pepper sprayed. January 6th just was One of the saddest and most traumatic moments of my career, and perhaps my life too.
Months later, Pejan began creating striking images. His fellow officers defending democracy in the face of impending danger. The Weeping Peace Monument nestled between the U.S. Capitol and barbed wire fencing, along with 2 self-portraits. Officer Pejan donned in riot gear only hours after the insurrection ended, bewildered and grateful just to be alive, and him saluting in his ceremonial uniform 2 weeks later on Inauguration Day.
It was a traumatic day for myself and for a lot of my fellow officers, and so to try and capture some of that sadness and that grief and put it into my artwork has been really important for me.
Pencils are just, they're easy to put in my hand and work with.
Officer Archer has also poured herself into her craft.
Being a law enforcement officer and then being able to go home and sit down and do this, it's a huge contrast, and I never realized how important it was in my life, because it's needed.
Showcasing how different creatures connect with each other and how maybe we can learn from them.
I want people, when they look at my stuff, to feel something.
These artists credit the quiet comfort of their respective studios.
We are in the Yards Park, just about a mile south of the Capitol.
With helping them heal from a domestic uprising that continues to haunt and shape a nation.
My intention is not to make a political statement at all. It's just to tell my story and share my experience.
I'm Jay Korff for 7 News.
Stitch.
Stitch came into Carrie Cooper's life after a beloved cat died 8 years ago. She named him Stitch for mending her broken heart.
Oh, my boy.
A heart tested these last 3 months.
The end of November, we noticed that our cat Stitch had not come home.
Cooper, who lives in Sterling, Virginia, posted flyers when Stitch vanished. A bitter, cold winter left her crestfallen.
You know, just the silence of the night and still going out and calling for him, I did think that he had passed.
But Stitch, well, he still had a few of his 9 lives left.
I have 9 lives.
Irene Antonucci is one of the volunteers at 4 Paws Rescue Team who feeds outdoor cat communities, colonies of feral felines who live in the shadows.
The cat approached me and was brushing my leg, and I thought, wow, this is not a feral cat.
Antonucci couldn't believe, amid a pack of skittish creatures, that Stitch hopped right into her hatchback.
Stitch was right here. He was chill, pretty much.
As it turns out, Stitch was found near Dulles International Airport, 4 miles from home, and to get there, he had to cross busy Route 28.
Hi, Stitch.
Because Stitch was chipped, his information registered and updated, he was quickly back home and up to his old shenanigans.
Come on, Stitchy, say hi.
I can't believe that, you know, when he walks up the stairs or when he's eating or coming for his treat or playing, that it's him, because I wonder where he's been and what was he doing and what was his adventure like. I'm so incredibly happy to have him home.
And to have him back in his preferred place of travel, in the comforts of a car and a sweet view.
When we drive around, he actually is a pretty good seatmate. He doesn't like to be in his carrier, and he does prefer to ride shotgun. I did have to break the news to him that he is no longer allowed outside.
But Stitch can still ride shotgun anytime he wants. Jay Korff, ABC 7 News.